Today I'm going to be showing you what I have found to be the quickest and easiest way to service the Harbor Freight Predator 3500 watt inverter generator. I own some campers, I rent them out, I've got a few generators, so I've serviced these things a bit, and I'm just going to show you what I've found to be the quickest way to do that. So let's get started. One important note here also to mention is that I ran this for about 3 minutes. It doesn't need to be a really lengthy amount of time, but you want to run it a little bit, get the oil circulating and get all the whatever material might be in it suspended in the oil. That's the point of the oil change, is to get that out. So I've run it for about 3 minutes. Now we're going to start this oil change. So there's about 10 different ways you can do this, and everybody's got their own way. For me, this is the handiest thing for me. I've got this little scaffolding ladder, step ladder thing, and I've just got a couple little blocks of wood cut that I set right there just to keep the generator level. And so we're going to throw the generator on top of this and get it into position. So, of course, it goes without saying that whenever you set it on something, you want to make sure that what you're setting it on is solid enough to support it, is rated for it. And then also, I've got it hanging off the edge here so we can access the drain. And you want to make sure that you've got it stable so that you don't have it, you know, over halfway off where it's going to tip over and cause a problem. These things are not particularly top heavy, and so this is very comfortably positioned where it's not going to go anywhere. So going by the Harbor Freight manual, you're supposed to change, there's some discrepancy on this, but you're supposed to do your first oil change at either 8 or 25 hours. I did mine at 8. I broke them in. I ran conventional oil for the first 8 hours, a straight 30 weight. And then I did the first oil change and I switched over to synthetic. And I've chosen to run 5W30. The manual says 10W30. And like I said, I run a synthetic. That's up to you. The 30 part is the most important part because that's that operating temperature. The first number is less important, but you can make your own decision on what specific oil you want to run. So also in the manual, it says that you're supposed to check the air filter quite frequently. So what I do is, instead of accessing this little cover here, which it requires no tools, just spin that off and you've got access. And you can change the oil that way, but I always pull the full cover off because it's very simple to pull the full cover off, and then you can check the air filter while you're at it. So that's what we're going to do here. There's 2 Phillips screws. We're going to loosen those up. We're going to pull this rubber flap up, get a handle on this, and pop it off. It is that simple. Now we've got full access. The first thing we're going to do is flip this clip down right here, and then we can open up this. Now, I have not had to deal with air filter issues on these at all. They seem to stay incredibly clean. It's a little tricky to get a good view in here, but we're going to try and shove this cover aside. And there's a foam piece. Mine kind of hung up in the cover, but I see nothing on it. I don't even see a blade of grass. These don't get used in dusty areas, so that's not exactly a surprise. So we're gonna pop this back in. We've got a clip on the top, and then we've got this latch on the bottom. And then we're gonna move on to the oil. I'm gonna zoom you in so you can see exactly what I'm gonna do here. And I'm going to use my oil pan here right underneath to catch all the oil we're going to drain out. So we're going to go right underneath here. There's a little rubber cap, and we're going to pull on the tab and pull that down. And now we've got an opened up hole where the oil is going to flow out once we pull the drain plug. I've got a 10mm socket, an extension, and a 3/8 ratchet. We're going to go straight in here. We're going to pop the drain plug loose. We're going to take out our fill plug. We'll see if any dripples out there. Nope. The oil's a little bit dark. So I'll put some links in the description. I've put a magnetic dipstick cap in here. And you can see a little bit of stuff on there. I don't know how well you can see that, but there is a little bit of metallic material there. But I did this immediately, and I actually caught quite a bit of stuff on this. There's, of course, no oil filter on this, so I used this immediately, and after break-in, there was definitely some stuff on it. So I think it's a good decision to run something like that. I also upgraded to an NGK spark plug. So that is all that I've done to these. I'll put links in the description below for those 2 mods I've done. But we've got that out, so we'll probably get a little bit faster oil flow once I unscrew this oil drain plug here. Make sure you got your pan lined up underneath. We'll get that pulled out of there, and it's going right out of there, right through the hole, just like it's supposed to. So it's just about finished draining. It's just dripping a little bit. I'm going to carefully tilt this a little bit. This isn't necessary. It will eventually drain out, but this speeds it up just a little bit at the end here. And then we're going to put the drain plug back in. Make sure that that crush washer is still on there. Now I looked, and Harbor Freight does not list a torque spec for this drain plug. I would have included that, and I would literally put a torque wrench on here, although it's probably overkill. But I couldn't find a torque spec anywhere, so we're not going to be doing that. We're just going to be tightening it down and going by feel. And it doesn't need to be too ridiculous. It is not a large bolt, so we're just going to snug that down. Now here is where a lot of people tell you to clean everything up and all that, and I think that's ridiculous, because what are you going to do? You're going to dump oil in here and probably spill. So we're going to skip the cleanup. We're going to leave the oil pan under there, and we're going to go straight to filling it. Now, I'm using the funnel that they provide with this generator. It works excellent. Whether you take the whole panel off or just the cover, it works just like it should. And as stated earlier, I'm going to be using 5W30 synthetic. This is from Walmart, SuperTech brand. The manual says 20 ounces, and I can confirm that you need to pour it slowly to make a smaller mess anyways. So we're going to start adding it. Now, the best thing about this, and I'll include a picture that shows the fill level. The fill level should be right up all the way to the top of the threads where the dipstick goes in. So you really don't need to read the dipstick. You literally need to fill this until it overflows. So that's what I'm going to do. Rather than trying to measure stuff out and get all technical and complicated, we're just going to fill it, maybe even overfill it a little bit, and then let it self-correct. Any additional oil will just drain right out, right into our pan. We'll see where we're at. That might be enough. There again, I'm not measuring it. And look at that, we've got it dribbling out. I think I just about nailed that. It's just dribbling out a tiny bit. And of course, it's dribbling out of the funnel as well. We'll get the funnel out of here, and we'll let that set for a minute. So I think we're pretty well set. I cleaned off the dipstick and the magnet, and we're going to screw this back in here. Now I'm going to grab some brake parts cleaner, and we're just going to spray a little bit in here. Rinse everything off nice. We can grab a paper towel at this point now. Now we can get everything cleaned up nice, because now we are officially done. And then we're going to reach under here, and we're going to put our rubber flap back into place. And now we're ready to put the cover on. We've got 3 tabs that line up on the bottom. We'll get a couple of these pins pushed in, then we'll get our rubber flap up out of the way. Get the rest pushed in. We can flip that back down. And then we'll run these screws in, and we're good to go. Now the last thing I'll mention is that usually I use a little Tyvek tag and zip tie it to the handle and just say when I last changed the oil, because as much as I try to be like right on the number, a lot of times it doesn't happen. And either way, I usually notate it on the generator, or even just a piece of masking tape with a note on it of when I last changed the oil. So either way, this one's ready to go. Fresh oil in it and everything, and that is how I do it, and how I think it's the quickest, easiest way to do it. Thanks for watching. Another quick note I wanted to add on these is, in case you didn't know this, because I didn't know this originally, you don't need to start these up to find out how many hours are on them. With it off, you can just hit the button, and we can see this one has 101 hours on it.